Now at 6 and streaming on crossroadstoday.com, a major new project at the Port of Victoria is set to bring jobs and a cleaner kind of energy to the region.
A manhunt is underway after 2 suspects fled in a stolen truck in Lavaca County.
Plus, a hefty reward is on the table as authorities search for a North Texas man who vanished just before his day in court.
And we're not quite out of the severe weather threat just yet, but we'll be talking about that coming up in weather.
And after competing in the Red River Athletic Conference tournament this past weekend, the UD Jaguars await their appearance in the NIA World Series tournament. So stay tuned for sports.
You're watching 25 News now at 6. Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Shawna Currie.
And I'm Brubaker.
The Port of Victoria is welcoming a new industry. First Ammonia is getting ready to break ground on a green ammonia plant. Green ammonia is made from water and air, making what First Ammonia representatives call a clean fuel alternative. Some global industries are moving to clean energy sources for transport and plant power. First Ammonia CEO Joel Moser says there are multiple reasons to choose Victoria as the site of this new development.
The primary reason that we're in Victoria is because of the people that welcomed us, that have supported us and continue to support us. There is an intellectual infrastructure in Victoria which supports our ambitions. We think Victoria is the ideal place. This will be the beginning of a new industry, and Victoria will be where it will be based.
Moser says groundbreaking on the project will take place this year. The new plant will create anywhere from 50 to 100 permanent jobs after a multi-year construction. This brings us to our viewer poll today. What benefit do you think a green ammonia plant could bring to Victoria? Is it more jobs, cleaner environment, economic growth, or are you unsure at this point? We want to hear from you. Visit crossroadstoday.com/vote to take part. And still just over 50%, 54% feel that the benefit is more jobs within our local economy. So continue voting. There's also an option to leave a comment. We would love to hear your feedback on this, so feel free to leave a comment for us as well. And we'll have the latest results on 25 News now at 10.
Brubaker County authorities are looking for 2 men who fled during a traffic stop. Deputies stopped a truck in between Shiner and Moulton that had been stolen out of Brazoria County. The driver then drove the truck through multiple barbed wire fences until finally coming to a stop in a pasture. 2 men were seen running away. DPS state troopers and Texas game wardens joined the search along with drones and tracking dogs. The 2 men are still on the loose and are believed to have discarded some of their clothing. They are both described as being in their late 20s, each less than 6 feet tall. Any suspicious activity should be reported to the Lavaca County Sheriff's Office.
We're learning new details in the manhunt for a North Texas capital murder suspect. The Kaufman County Sheriff says Trevor McEwen cut off his ankle monitor Sunday night, just hours before his trial was set to begin. McEwen then texted a family member and is accused of setting fire to a barn in Van Zant County. Fire crews found his monitor and phones inside, but no sign of him. McEwen is accused of shooting and killing his neighbor in 2022. The victim's family wants the case prosecuted as a hate crime. The U.S. Marshals have now joined the search, and the Kaufman County Sheriff is offering a $10,000 reward for information that leads to his arrest.
Crews in Central Texas rescued a man who was trapped in his car Tuesday due to rising floodwaters. The rescue effort was caught on camera, you see there. The man called for help after water started rapidly flooding his car. When officers arrived, the car was in a creek 100 yards away from the road. Rescuers managed to break a window and pull the man to safety. The car was swept down the creek a short time later. Oof. That is scary. That is scary stuff. Well, the sun comes out here after some heavy rains.
Let's go to Jacob Lozano with a first look at the forecast. And Jacob, are we expecting this sunshine to stay around for a while, or are we going to be kind of going into a back and forth pattern?
Well, we're going to get into a little bit of more rain here tomorrow, but we're going to see abundant sunshine coming in after that. So pretty much clear skies right now. We had a little bit of cloud cover here earlier today, but was a bit humid as well. 84 degrees is what we're currently sitting at with those winds coming out of the east. Still need a little bit more rain here around the airport area, and well, more rain is what we're going to be looking at as that front line that has moved through has actually stalled out. It's going to be retreating back just a little bit here, and that's going to be giving us our rain chances coming up into the tomorrow time frame. So we'll be talking about when that rain's going to get here and how much rain we're going to be getting coming up on the full weather report. Don?
Jacob, thank you. And recent trends suggest the Atlantic hurricane season could begin earlier than usual this year. Now, the official season runs from June 1st through November 30th, but forecast models point to possible early storm development in the Western Caribbean. At least one named storm has formed before June in 7 of the last 10 years, a pattern linked to unusually warm waters. The National Hurricane Center now begins issuing outlooks in mid-May because of that growing trend.
Fentanyl test strips are among the cheapest and easiest ways to prevent overdoses, but multiple attempts to legalize them have failed in the Senate. This year, legislation to legalize these test strips faces similar challenges. To read the full Texas Tribune article, visit crossroadstoday.com.
The number of Texas measles cases rises to 702. That's a jump of 19 since Friday. State officials said fewer than 10 of the cases identified by the state were estimated to be actively infectious. There have been 91 patients hospitalized since the outbreak started. The state says these hospitalizations are from earlier in the outbreak. 17 cases were reported in people who were considered fully vaccinated. Most of the cases continued to be minors, with 462 being under the age of 18, and 207 of those cases were under the age of 5. Texas lawmakers are reviewing legislation that would require people to show proof of citizenship to register to vote. Senate Bill 16 passed. House Bill 5337 is pending. The bills do not provide a way to submit documentation online. It can only be done in person, through the mail, or over the phone. The legislation says voters would need to provide, when showing up at the polls, items like a copy of a U.S. passport, a passport card, and a certified copy of a birth certificate issued by a U.S. state or territory.
Well, graduation season is here, and we are celebrating the class of 2025 right along with you. We celebrate Gavin from Calhoun High School tonight. Congratulations, grandson. May God bless you in all that you do now and in the future. I'm so proud of you and your accomplishments. Love you mucho, from Grandma Lori. And congratulations to Jazzy from Victoria East High School. We made it, but the journey isn't over. Wishing you a bright and adventurous future. Overcome whatever life throws at you. Love you, from Juliet Salinas. And a shout out to Matthew, who is graduating from Victoria Success Academy. Congratulations, Matthew Santiago Nunez. Love Momo, Popo, and Tia. Submit a photo and heartfelt message for your grad through June 13th. We will feature our area grads on air and on social media. Go to our contest page at crossroadstoday.com, click the entertainment tab, then select contest to submit and show your pride.
Here's some of the headlines you can read in the Port Lavaca Wave. Calhoun County voters turned down a hospital district proposal, and the Texas Mid-Coast Birding Festival takes flight in Port Lavaca. You can read these stories and more at portlavacawave.com.
And remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Crossroads Today. All you have to do is hit the like button and click the notification bell. As black smoke rises over the Sistine Chapel, anticipation builds in Vatican City as the world awaits the next chapter in papal history.
Also ahead, uncertainty grows over the economy as the Fed holds steady on interest rates. What's behind the wait-and-see approach and how new trade tensions could impact your wallet. That and more straight ahead on 25 News Now at 6. The National Transportation Safety Board released its preliminary report on last month's fatal helicopter crash in New York City's Hudson River. 5 family members and the pilot died in the April 10th crash. The NTSB says the helicopter suddenly broke apart into 3 major sections before crashing into the river. It says several witnesses heard a number of loud bangs from the helicopter before it broke up and descended into the river. The preliminary report does not draw a conclusion on the cause of the crash. A combination shot for flu and COVID-19 using messenger RNA generated antibodies in a study. But U.S. government regulators want to see data on whether the new vaccine protects people from getting sick. Moderna researchers reported in a study that the new combo shot generated a stronger immune response against COVID-19 and most strains of flu than current shots in people 50 and older. Side effects were injection site pain, fatigue, and headaches. For centuries, the leader of the Catholic Church has been elected in a highly secretive gathering known as the conclave, meaning with key in Latin.
And now Catholic cardinals from around the world are locked away for the conclave, facing the task of choosing the next pope. Barbie Nadeau is in Rome with the latest developments.
Black smoke poured from the chimney of the Sistine Chapel on day 1 of the conclave. The time-honored tradition means no one was elected as the new pope Wednesday. 133 cardinals are gathered in Vatican City to choose the next leader of the Catholic Church, following the death of Pope Francis last month. The Holy Mass ahead of the conclave opened with the procession of cardinals. Each of them swore an oath of secrecy. First to swear the individual oath was Cardinal Pietro Parolin of Italy.
And I, Pietro, Cardinal Parolin, promise, pledge, and swear, may God help me as well as these holy gospels that with my hand I do touch.
Parolin has served as Vatican Secretary of State since early in Francis' papacy and is one of the cardinals considered as a possible candidate for a pope. But it will take 2/3 majority to be chosen, and achieving the minimum 89 votes may take time.
Keep us in your prayers. I mean that. I'm so moved and grateful for the many assurances and prayers that you've been so graciously offering up to the Lord on our behalf.
As Catholics wait for the white smoke to billow into the sky, signaling the selection of the new pope, those nearby are sharing their hopes for the new leader.
Someone that's very much like Francis was. Humble.
I'm hoping that this pope will be more like St. Pope John Paul II and lead the church and unify the church and just be a lovely shepherd for all of us. We need it.
Some Ford vehicles will soon cost more. The automaker is raising sticker prices for 3 models made in Mexico: the Mustang Mach-E, the Maverick pickup, and the Bronco Sport. Prices will rise between $600 and $2,000, but only for vehicles built after May 2nd. The move comes weeks after a new tariff of up to 25% took effect on imported vehicles. Ford says the tariff could cost them $1.5 billion this year. The company is still offering employee pricing discounts through the 4th of July.
The Federal Reserve rates says they will not change interest rates.
In a statement this afternoon, the group says the risks of higher unemployment and inflation have risen. ABC's Perry Russum reports from Washington.
The Federal Reserve today not changing interest rates, saying uncertainty about the economic outlook has increased further. It comes as President Trump has been pressuring Fed Chair Jerome Powell to lower interest rates.
For now, it does seem like it's a fairly clear decision for us to wait and see and watch.
The latest numbers on the economy are mixed. Last month's jobs report was better than expected, but the country's GDP shrank for the first time in years. The Federal Reserve today says the risks of higher unemployment and higher inflation have risen.
I think there's a great deal of uncertainty about, for example, where tariff policies are going to settle out, and also when they do settle out, what will be the implications for the economy, for growth, and for employment.
Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent on Capitol Hill today saying trade talks with China will start on Saturday.
Which countries are you close to striking deals with?
I'm sorry, Congresswoman, but that would not benefit the United States. It would be detrimental to the interest of the United States for me to answer that question.
Why?
Effects of the trade war with China already being seen as the country faces a tariff of 145%. Container ship arrivals at ports in California are starting to decline. Both Temu and Shein now reportedly seeing a double-digit drop in sales in the U.S. after raising prices because of the tariffs.
中方坚决反对
China's Minister of Foreign Affairs today says they are open to dialogue, but it should be based on equality, respect, and reciprocity. Trump today standing by for the swearing-in of the new ambassador to China, David Perdue.
You're going to do a fantastic job, and say hello to President Xi when you're over there, please, okay?
And the two countries are in a tit-for-tat over who asked who to have this meeting. China says it was the U.S. President Trump says it was the other way around, but regardless, the meeting is happening this weekend in Switzerland. Perry Russum, ABC News, Washington.
Here's some of the top headlines you can read in the Cuero record. Texas First Lady Cecilia Abbott honors Cuero's Main Street program. And illegal tire and trash dumping is costing DeWitt County taxpayers. You can read these stories and more at DeWittCountyToday.com.
Well, the front line has moved on through, but we're not out of the clear just yet. We'll be talking about that weather after the break. Well, good afternoon, Crossroads. It was a pretty clear day. We had a couple clouds, but it was a bit hot and humid today. We just had all that evaporation from last night's rainstorm start to just, leave our ground and evaporate in our atmosphere, and just brought out the really humid conditions here. Now, 84 degrees is what we're at right now with those easterly winds at about 11 miles per hour. Did get up to 85 degrees here. Didn't really get much higher than that, but we still are looking for a little bit of rain to finally just get us out of that condition that we're in. Now, not looking at much right now with those southeasterly winds, but that front line has stalled out here in the Gulf, and it is going to backtrack here a little bit. It's going to give us a little bit of lift here where we're going to see those rain chances come in before that high pressure system just starts blowing everything out of there, and those dry conditions are going to be well present for the next 7 days as we go on through tomorrow. Now, speaking of tomorrow, we have a marginal risk here of severe weather. Now, most of that heavy stuff's going to stay south along the Rio Grande Valley area, along the Rio Grande, but we can't rule out just a shower or thunderstorm that may cause some severity in it just yet. We're going to continue to monitor this system, but like we said, there's not much going on. Maybe a little pop-up shower there along 37. Maybe see a little bit of showers begin to pop up with that daytime heating, but around here in Victoria, not looking at anything going on right now. But here's our future tracker that we're going to see those rain chances start to pop up. So in the morning time, we may see little light shower here along the Texas coastline. So the majority of those showers are going to be there as we go into the afternoon time, just these sea breeze showers that are going to be popping up. And we're going to get pretty aggressive here at some times where we could see some higher spots here. But by the afternoon, going later into the afternoon, we're going to start to see these really begin to build up here as heavy thunderstorms will start to pop up here at Beeville as those storms that were going on along the Texas border are going to be moving well eastward in here. But this model takes it pretty aggressive here with this. So I'm not 100% on board with how aggressive this model takes it, but If I look at the European model here, see those showers begin to pop up, and it's pretty much scattered to isolated thunderstorms here for our area, and it's not on that main severe side. It's just moderate thunderstorms within the area. It just all depends on that CAPE value as we go on into the day, but most of that stuff's going to be really severe just right around the Texas Rio Grande area. But temperatures tomorrow morning are going to be a bit on the humid side once again. 70 degrees is what we'll be waking up to. We'll be pushing that boundary of 86 degrees, and that heat index value is going to be up towards the 90s. It's going to be a bit of another warm, muggy day for us here Thursday, but temperatures are going to be shifting here coming into Friday and into the weekend. It'll be a bit cooler for us here. 70 degrees once again for us to start, but we'll get into the low 80s as we head into the weekend. But Saturday morning we'll be in the 60s as our daytime low for the evening, and we might see some 50s here Sunday morning for Mother's Day. But muggy conditions for the next couple of days, and start to drop down into some comfier weather, some drier conditions before we head back up into that mugginess and humid condition as we go on into the beginning of next week. Now, scattered thunderstorms are possible here in Port Lavaca in the afternoon time, with those temperatures being at 83 degrees. As well as here in Cuero, we may see a pop-up shower or a thunderstorm as we await that line to move eastward, more in the southeasterly direction, as well as here in Victoria. We could see that possible scattered thunderstorm begin to pop up, especially in the nighttime. We could see those pop up, but those next 7 days, 30% chance. We do have a possible alert day. Just going to keep monitoring that, but temperatures are going to be dropping here going into the weekend. 82 with those northerly winds, keeping us pretty dry. 60 degrees, be in the 60s here for the next 2 nights here, Sunday and Monday. But those westerly winds will return, and westerly winds mean higher temperatures, so we'll be up in the 90s. Now, don't forget to scan the QR code for more news, weather, and sports. And here's Shawna.
All right, thanks a lot, Jacob. Glad we're going to see some sun for Mother's Day.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah.
Mom can have a break and relax. All right, well, now we send it over to Ray Robinson for sports. Ray.
Thank you, Shawna. We're taking you to the UHV Jaguars following their selection in the NAIA World Series. See what they have to say and more coming up in sports. After a season which saw the UHV Jaguars baseball team finish 38-15 overall and 22-8 in conference, the team now finds themselves awaiting their bid in the NAIA World Series. I caught up with Coach Stan Vanoa after the announcement was made.
It's awesome when you look back and you get recognized, you get that at-large bid. You know, the product we put forth all season long proves true, and you know, the selection committee ultimately put us in, and we're going to Lawrenceville, Georgia, and you know, we couldn't be happier, ready to play some playoff baseball and have that shot at the World Series. We all know the job's not done, and we're looking forward to giving Kaiser, Georgia Gwinnett, and Talladega and everybody else in that tournament a run for their money, and see how far we can take this thing.
All right, staying in UHV, the softball team was also awaiting their selection to the play-in in the NAIA World Series tournament for softball. This will be their 10th time awaiting their bid to play. The Jags finished with an overall record of 29-21 with a 19-9 in conference play. This would make their second consecutive time doing so, making it to the World Series. And continuing your high school baseball playoff preview, and we're going to talk Victoria West as a team that showed that they got a lot of grit. They prepared to take on Hendrickson at Riverside for the area championship, and I caught up with one of the Warriors to see how he feels going into the game.
Being really fundamental, listening to coach a lot, staying aggressive at the plate and throwing a lot of strikes on the mound. Hard, but going into the postseason and then after going into playoffs, playing all the teams that we did, it wasn't really a challenge. So coming into the playoffs, we got to tighten up a little bit. A lot of small ball and, from their pitching side, a lot of middle away. So just wanting to take that away and, stay aggressive to the fastball.
All right, and the Ganado Indians baseball team will be down in Sinton for their area championship matchup against Three Rivers. All games will be in Sinton. Game 1 is Thursday at 5 p.m. and 30 minutes after Game 1, we'll see Game 2. Ganado's opponent in Three Rivers finished first in their district and swept their first-round opponent, so Ganado will have their work cut out for them. And speaking of the Ganado Indians, let's talk about their football team. There you see them with Texas House of Representative A.J. Louderback. The Indians with their fresh new hardware with the Marines that they received last week. The Indians were honored with a resolution today. So big congratulations to the Ganado Indians. And big news coming out of Jerry's World. That's right, Crossroads. I'm sure you've heard it by now. And that the Steelers wide receiver, George Pickens, is now being traded to the Dallas Cowboys. He now joins CeeDee Lamb to make a dangerous receiving duo. They will receive a 2026 third-round pick, a 2027 fifth-round pick to the Pittsburgh Steelers for Pickens and a 2027 sixth-round pick. Now, Don, do you think that this addresses some of the problems that the Cowboys have going forward?
A little bit, but I think another big problem they have with the wide receivers, they need CeeDee Lamb healthy. When he is healthy, the Cowboys have a good passing attack. When they don't, not too good. All right, thank you, Ray, and we're back in a moment. Some very historic trees are planted at the UN headquarters in New York City. Find out the history behind these trees after the break. Finally tonight, 2 trees that survived the atomic bomb that fell on Hiroshima, Japan nearly 80 years ago were planted outside the headquarters of the United Nations this week. The trees are seen as a symbol of peace, resilience, and hope. 2 persimmon tree samplings were planted in the UN staff garden ahead of the 80th anniversary of the bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki in August. The trees are among about 160 registered that survived the 1945 bombing. This year also marks the 80th anniversary of the founding of the United Nations. I can't believe that those trees could have lasted first after the atomic bomb, and secondly, 80 years?
Yeah, that's incredible.
Whew, that is just amazing.
Incredible.
And, you know, our trees could use some more rain, perhaps.
They definitely could, and I think we have some on the way here. We do have a little 30% chance of rain here tomorrow with a possible alert, Dave, just because we are in a marginal risk and there's a lot of energy in our atmosphere that could produce maybe some small hail for us. But rain is basically what we're really going to be looking forward to, but mostly sunny skies for the rest of, well, the next 6 days, we'll just say that, with northerly winds and cooler temperatures this weekend, but we'll be up in the 90s coming into Tuesday and Wednesday, so enjoy it while you can.
You're saying possible alert tomorrow. What are the chances it will be a real alert?
That just based off of what we're going to see here tonight, with if there's enough a lot of energy in the atmosphere. So we'll keep watching that.
Gotcha, sir. Thank you, Jacob. Thanks for joining us.
We'll see you back here tonight for 25 News Now at 10.